Hey guys, just thought about talking about an issue, or rather not an issue, but a subject today, which is the overuse and the dirty expression or dirty words, tech debt. A lot of engineers use it nowadays, and a lot of managers use it nowadays, not necessarily within the same context or trying to explain the same problem, but really it's overused in my opinion, and I really consider it to be a dirty word because it's just thrown as a plaster, right? Trying to hide and trying to take away attention from the real issues. So, first and foremost, every code base out there that is like older than 6 months has tech debt, or it will become itself tech debt. It's going to be like there's always something new. There's always something better that you could be doing. There's always a missed opportunity for a great functionality, or there's always um, the concept of rewriting everything, refactoring everything because there's better and newer standards and methodologies or whatever else. So this is the first point. There is always and there will always be tech debt. You will never be rid of it. It doesn't matter how much you try to account for it, how much you try to prevent it, how much you're thinking about it, and how much you're being proactive towards reducing it. Um, Generally speaking, all products have it, and they will have it. Doesn't matter how good of a job you think you're doing at preventing it. So that's the first point. The second point is engineers use tech debt a lot of the time, and by engineers I actually quite I'm talking about the billies that I was explaining earlier. They use tech debt in order to somehow justify their their perfectionism, and to somehow give in to the very sexy idea of rewriting everything or redoing everything or refactoring everything, right? Because it gets boring. Writing software usually gets boring. You're usually just doing API calls. You're usually just doing whatever endpoints. You're doing UI. You're usually doing boring stuff, which brings in the money, which brings in the clients, gives client satisfaction and value. So if you are doing the boring stuff all day, every day for a couple of months, after like 5, 6, 8 months, you're going to be burned out and you're going to say, oh, I just wish that I did something new. And then the very interesting concept of tech debt comes up together with maybe some new conference or maybe some new standard that you've heard about, and you're going to be pushing your management to, let's start refactoring, let's start rewriting. So a lot of the time, a lot of the engineers are just doing it for their own selfish satisfaction. That is the truth. That is the absolute truth. And I say this as an engineer who has argued for refactoring in the past. I've also argued against refactoring in the past, right? Because I try to keep a balance. I try to keep level-headed, level-headed approach, whatever. Anyway, so that is the second point. Now the third point is managers who talk about tech debt and who bring it up either to higher management or to stakeholders or to owners or to investors. They bring this up quite often as an excuse for why the product isn't performing as it was supposed to, or why the product isn't actually bringing value to the client. A lot of the times the management is going to say, oh well, we're using this old framework which is quite old, and it's not as fast as the newer frameworks, or we're using um, we're not on the cloud. We should be on the cloud. We should be doing CI/CD so that we are faster to bring out features, or whatever mumbo jumbo that they come up with. And the issue with that is, I'm not saying that they are necessarily wrong, right? But the main issue with that is that they don't go into the actual source of the problem. They just see the issue, and they say, okay, well, it's tech debt. We have to rewrite it. We have to redo it. But they don't go to the root of the problem. And the root of the problem is that most likely the design failed. The project management and the project design and the product design failed, or it did not account for how the technology worked, right? Because if you're trying to build, for example, a competitor to Amazon, and you're going to insist on using WordPress, then you failed already from the very beginning. There's no way of competing with a gigantic, very well optimized sales platform by doing it in WordPress. So, this is a gross overestimation, over example of how you could ruin and from the very beginning start with tech debt if you are not good at actually designing your product and picking up the technology which should be used. So yeah, that's it. There's three big reasons why tech debt is a dirty word, and it's overused and it's overrated. In my opinion, it's overrated. Like, a lot of platforms have huge amounts of tech debt, but they still function very well. Their clients are very pleased and they get a lot of value out of it. And even though the perfectionist engineers would love to come in and rewrite everything, that is not necessarily what should be happening. Not all the time. Sometimes yes, but not all the time. And that's it. Thanks for watching, and hopefully you've enjoyed this. See you next time.